Hey guys, Misty here. So I am back to show you how to make my crispy chicken thighs for this week's Foodie Friday. So here I have 6 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs, and it's very important that the skin is on. You could get boneless if you wanted to, but since we're going to cook these in the oven, it's going to taste so much better if you have the bone in. So the first thing I'm going to do, as you can see, is I have some paper towel down. I've turned these skin side down, and then I'm going to bring in some more paper towels so I can dry the back. It's very important, probably the most important step of this whole cooking procedure thing is to make sure that these chicken thighs are as dry as possible. We're going to be putting these in a very, very, very hot pan, and number one, we don't want water to splatter and us burn ourselves, and number two, we don't want these to steam because then they will not be crispy. And what's funny about this recipe is Rob and I don't normally like dark meat, but one time we were a little broke. So I went ahead and picked up chicken thighs because they were so much cheaper than chicken breast. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to braise these in the oven and see what happens. And they were so very good. Today I'm just going to use chicken stock, but sometimes I've added wine. I've cooked pancetta or bacon first, but today I'm just going to kind of do it as is. This was the first time I had cooked in a while, and most of you know that I've been having back issues, so I didn't want to push it. So here I am spreading them all out, making sure all the skin is out and ready to be seasoned. Again, I apologize for using my right hand, but I wasn't thinking. So in the next video, which will be in a couple of weeks or next week, I haven't decided, I remembered. So in a ramekin, I have some Montreal chicken seasoning along with some salt and fresh ground pepper, and I'm going to sprinkle that on the outside of the skin. You could totally do this on the end, lift the skin up and do this straight on the chicken, but I really love how the skin tastes. Chicken skin is probably my most favorite part of the chicken, especially when it's crispy and so good, so good. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the thighs on one side and then flip them over to make sure I get the back side as well. You're going to see in just a little bit when I throw these in the pan that it's going to look like the seasonings burn. They don't really, but if you're using fresh herbs, I would put it under the skin, and then a couple of times that I've used fresh herbs, I make like a paste and put it underneath the skin because you don't want the fresh herbs to burn. So again, I'm just going to season up the back side of these, and while this is going on, I have a oven-proof pan heating on high on my stove, and I'm going to show you in just a second a surefire way of knowing that your pan is hot enough for this recipe. So here I've gone to wash my hands. After my hands are clean, I'm going to take some more water and I'm just going to flick it into the pan, and you'll see that it's going to bead up. Look at that. So that means this pan is screaming hot. So we're going to go ahead and put the chicken in. I'm not adding any fat whatsoever because the chicken thighs are fatty. So I'm going to go ahead and add in 4 at one time. You don't want to crowd the pan, so I'm definitely not going to put all 6 in at one time. These are going to cook just for a couple of minutes on this side. You'll know they're ready when you can flip them. If you try to flip them and the skin has no give in it, or if it feels like it's still stuck to the pan, then you want to let them go a little bit longer. And the reason why I don't add excess fat, look at this. Look at all this fat that it's adding to the pan. And I just feel like if you add oil on top of it, it just makes everything too greasy. So I don't, and it takes maybe 20 seconds for these to make enough oil to cover the bottom of the pan. So I let these go probably 30-45 seconds, maybe a full minute before I flip them over. Again, I have a pan that's on high heat. This pan is oven safe because I will be transferring this to the oven in just a couple of minutes. So now I'm about to get my big old hand in the way again. I apologize. I'm just going to flip these over, and I'm going to cook these on the other side for maybe 15-20 seconds. It doesn't need any color on that side. I just want to, give it just a little bit on that side before I move them over. So these are going to go onto a clean plate, and you don't want to put these back on the dirty plate. It's very important. You have to be I'm super diligent when it comes to chicken. I keep a bleach bottle nearby, with bleach water in it. I'm washing my hands all the time. I switch utensils. So you just want to make sure that you're being as clean as possible so you don't end up making yourself or your family sick. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on a clean plate, like I said, and then I'm going to put in the next two. So another way that you could season these, one way that we really, really love is with some fresh thyme and fresh rosemary. I make a paste with a couple of garlic cloves, and we put the thyme and the rosemary in with some salt and pepper, and then, or even butter, and then rub that on to the chicken meat directly rather than on top of the skin. Fresh herbs have a tendency to burn more than these dry herbs do, and I know that it looks, again, I know what the pan looks like that these are burned, but I promise you they didn't taste that way at all. So off camera, what you can't see is that I have a pan of chicken broth heating. You want maybe 1 to 2 cups, and I normally would use regular old chicken broth out of the box and just pour it in, but I was out, so I had to make some using chicken bouillon, which I absolutely love. The issue is it's so salty, so you just want to make sure that you really pay attention to how much salt you're putting into your recipe. So for the chicken, I barely put any salt in my seasoning. So I'm going to pull these out, and then I'm going to wipe out the pan using a paper towel. Again, I don't want all this grease left in the bottom of the pan, because it is going to go in the oven, and the chicken thighs as they cook are going to give off some more fat. So I'm not looking to deglaze this or anything. I'm just looking to take out the excess oil. Then I'm going to put all 6 chicken thighs back in. Now normally I would portion 2 per person. I have some meat packed up from when my brother was here, so I have enough for 3 people. But honestly, it turned out okay because these thighs shrunk down a lot. So we were able to eat 3 and not be too much for us to eat. So these are going to go into a 400-degree oven. I overcooked mine. I'm just going to say it out there. So when you see them in just a minute, they're a little overdone. But here I am pouring in the broth, and you want it to just come up to the bottom of the chicken skin. You don't want the skin immersed or it won't crisp up. But normally you would need to cook these for about an hour and 15 minutes. I left mine in a little bit longer, but listen to this crispy skin. Oh my word. So good. So again, these were cooked a little bit too long, but the great thing about chicken thighs or dark meat especially, it can stand up to long cooking times. If I'd had a little bit of more pan juices, I may have reduced that down to make a sauce, but I didn't. So yeah, so thanks so much for joining me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.